Okay, I'm back. Hopefully my internet is a little bit better this time around. I'm gonna wait a little bit to see who joins in and hopefully check with you guys if the internet is better. Hey guys, welcome back. I switched to my phone net. Let me know if the internet is better or if I'm disconnecting again. Hopefully that fixed all the issues. Hey Ali Reza, thank you for joining in. Thank you guys for coming back. Is the internet better this time around, guys? Let me know if there's any problems. Hopefully, my internet is better. I don't know what was happening with my Wi-Fi. Sometimes, it slows down. I don't know what's up with it. Hopefully, my phone net is good enough, though. Okay. Hey guys, good morning to those of you who are just joining in. So, good? Yeah, awesome. Thank you for helping out, Nagin. Yeah, okay, good. Like I was saying, today we're going to continue with our D topics. And the first topic we're going to cover is disappointment. So sometimes when you're expecting something good to happen and in the end it doesn't happen, or when you think something that's going to happen is going to be really cool, but it's not, you feel disappointed. You feel like you don't feel good about it, and you want to express your disappointment. Okay, so that's the first topic we're going to start with. I'm just going to wait a little bit longer, see if anybody else is joining in. Good morning to those of you who are just joining us. I hope you've had a great morning. I hope you've had your breakfast and you're ready to get started with learning some English. I don't know if next week, depending on if we have like the work situation, we have to go to the cafe or not, I might not be able to continue these lives, but I will let you guys know in a post for sure when I find out, and I'll probably go live and let you guys know. I would like to continue doing these. Maybe I will have to change the time for them, but we'll see how it goes next week. Hi Negin, good morning. Thank you for joining in. Hi Mehdi. Hi Echdolgari. Sorry if I say your name wrong. Like, sometimes I can't really tell what the name is supposed to sound like, okay? All right, guys, so I'm going to get started. Like I said, our first topic is going to be about disappointment. I'm going to turn off the comments. Please write down your questions if you have any, and you can ask me afterwards, okay? So here we go. Okay, so sometimes you expect something good to happen, or you expect something to be really good, and when it happens or it doesn't happen, you feel disappointment. So today we're going to talk about our disappointment. Okay, so the first two expressions are very common expressions. You can use them to talk about your own disappointment or just disappointment in general. So the first one is, what a pity. What a pity, or what a shame. What a shame. So we can use these expressions at any time that something personal happens that we feel disappointed. So for example, if you were looking forward to seeing somebody and they call you up and they say, hey, I can't come see you today. You can say, oh, what a pity. I really wanted to see you. Or, what a shame. I was looking forward to seeing you. Or maybe you were trying really hard to get a good mark on the test. You felt like you did good, but after you get your results, you say, what a shame. I didn't do as well as I thought I would. What a shame. I didn't do as well as I thought I would. Or, what a pity. My mark isn't what I thought it would be. Okay, so you can express your disappointment like that. Or if somebody tells you something that, if somebody talks about their own disappointment, you can use this to express sympathy for them. So, for example, your friend is telling you, yeah, I left my bag in the classroom, and when I came back, it wasn't there any longer. You say, oh, what a pity. That was such a good bag. Or what a shame. That was such a good bag. Okay? The next expression is very similar to these two. It's how disappointing. How disappointing. We can use this expression again to talk about our own personal disappointment when something we do or something we want doesn't happen. Like with the previous example, we can say like, how disappointing. I really wanted to see you. So our friend calls us up and tells us, hey, I can't make it today. Oh, how disappointing. I really wanted to see you. Or maybe you go to a movie and you think it's going to be a super good movie, but afterwards it's not a very good movie. You say, how disappointing. I thought this movie would be better. So how disappointing. I thought this movie would be better. Pay attention. You can use this sentence structure to talk about anything that you experience. Like if you go to a restaurant and they have a really famous dish and you order it, you try it, you don't like it. You say, this dish was really disappointing. How disappointing. I thought this would be better. Okay? So how disappointing. And then I thought this would be better. You can also use this as a reply when somebody tells you, talks about their own disappointment. Like they say, I really thought I was going to win the lottery. I didn't win. You say, oh, how disappointing. Okay, so you can use it in some manner like that. Maybe somebody says, we lost our game last week. You say, how disappointing. I'm sorry to hear that. You sympathize with them, okay? And the next two expressions are specifically used to sympathize with another person's disappointment. So the first two, you could use it for yourself and you could use it for other people. These next two, we mostly use them for other people. Okay, so your friend comes up to you and your friend says, somebody stole my bike. You say, oh, that's too bad. It was such a good bike. Or they say, I got in a fight with my wife. Wow, that's really too bad. I'm sorry to hear that. That's too bad. That's too bad. Okay, so when something disappointing happens to somebody, we can reply to them, that's too bad. The other expression we can use is what a bummer. Okay, what a bummer is very informal. It's not like you can use the other three in any setting. If it's a professional, formal setting, or with your friends, an informal, casual setting, you can use them. But what a bummer, you usually only use it with your friends in a casual, informal setting. Okay? So your friend tells you, I bet a lot of money on that team and they lost. You say, oh, what a bummer. That sucks. What a bummer. Okay? So when something bad happens to somebody else, when they're disappointed, you can say, that's too bad. It's a very good way of doing it, like in a formal setting. Like maybe you're in a business meeting and your coworker says, oh, I can't meet my deadlines this week. That's too bad. You really worked hard, but you can't do it. Or if you're with your friends and they say something bad happened, like, they say, I haven't seen my parents for over a month. Oh, what a bummer. I know you really love them. What a bummer. The next expression is very similar to what a bummer. It is pretty informal. The expression is what a let down. What a let down. So we can use this again for something that happened to ourselves or to somebody else. For example, I go to a movie and it's not as good as I think it is. I say, that movie was a letdown. That movie was a letdown. Or, what a letdown. I thought this movie was going to be better. Okay? what a letdown. I thought this movie was going to be better. Or your friend comes to you and they say, that new car I bought, I just got in an accident. Oh, shoot, what a letdown, dude. What a bummer. Or your boss is like, I'm sorry, I can't give you vacation this next week. We're really busy. You say, what a letdown. I was really looking forward to vacation time. Okay? The next expression is also something more direct to talk about your disappointment. It's, that's so disappointing. That's so disappointing. Or if you want to emphasize it, you say, that's just so disappointing. That's just so disappointing. Be careful. If you say this, if somebody is supposed to do something for you and you say this to them, it might be too direct. So depending on, how comfortable you are talking to them, you might not want to use this if somebody disappoints you. But you can use it, again, this is one of those ones you can use for yourself or others. So, I go to the movies, it's not as good as I thought, oh, that's so disappointing. I really thought this movie was going to be better. That's just so disappointing, okay? Or, your friend is supposed to build you something, and they build you something, but it's not as good as you thought. You say, oh, that's just so disappointing. I thought you were going to do a better job. But be careful, because you're saying it directly, you might hurt their feelings, okay? You might want to use something a little bit less direct when you talk about it. Like, you can use our first expression. You say, oh, what a pity it didn't turn out the way I thought. Okay, what a pity it didn't turn out the way I thought. It is more indirect. You're more saying that it's too bad things didn't go the way I thought, rather than saying, they disappointed you, okay? A lot of times, parents might use this language with their kids. The kids come to them and they say, oh, Mom, I didn't do good on my math test. They say, oh, that's so disappointing. I keep on telling you to study. That's just so disappointing that you're not doing well on your math. So this is a very direct way of expressing your own disappointment, or talking about somebody else's when you're disappointed in somebody else. Okay. Now, the next two expressions are for emphasizing the expectations that you had before the negative results. Okay, so this is really good for the movie example. I'm really looking forward to the movie, so I say, I was so looking forward to whatever. I was so looking forward to this movie. I was so looking forward to meeting this guy. But after I met him, he's not exactly who I thought he was going to be, okay? I was so looking forward to trying this dish. This expression means that I really wanted to do something, but after I did it, it wasn't exactly what I thought it would be. It was more of a disappointment. I was so looking forward to going to the amusement park, but after I went there, it wasn't as fun as I thought it would be, okay? Or I was so looking forward to going to this city. I was so looking forward to going to New York, but I went to New York and it wasn't what I thought it would be. And the next expression is very much like this one. It's, I had high hopes for. I had high hopes for. This is a very formal way of expressing your disappointment in something. For example, at your job, if your boss wants to fire you, they might tell you to come in the office and they say, we had really high hopes for you, but things aren't working out, okay? Or maybe some project you guys are working on, it's not going as well. You say, we had high hopes for this project, but things aren't going the way we thought. You can also use this for our previous examples of like trying something out, trying something that you thought was going to be good, but it's not as good as you thought, like a movie or some food or some activity, any of those words. I had high hopes for this movie. I had high hopes for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Okay, so you can just use the name of a movie there. Or, I had high hopes for this dish, this Chinese food, for example. Okay, you can use it for any kind of activity, or a movie or something like that, or a person. So if you put a person's name, it means that that person disappointed you. Okay, I had high hopes for Tom, but Tom is really not as hardworking as I thought. Okay. The next one is also formal, and you can even use it in like a writing, formal writing, like a letter. So it did not live up to expectations. It did not live up to expectations. So with this sentence structure, you can replace it with any noun or pronoun, and it's okay when you're expressing disappointment in it. In the movie case, you put the title of the movie first. So you say, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood did not live up to expectations. Or you can put a person's name. You can say, Tom did not live up to expectations. Okay. You can talk about, because it is very formal, if you go to a hotel and the room is just not at the standard you thought it would be. It's a 5-star hotel, but the rooms feel like they're 2 stars. So you go to the front desk and you say, the rooms just don't live up to the expectations we had. Okay? So very formal way of saying I'm disappointed in something. You can use this in writing. If you're talking about some experience you had and at the end you want to say I'm disappointed in it, you can say, my experience did not live up to the expectations I had of it. You take a car for a test drive, like you take a Benz or BMW or something for a test drive, and afterwards the person asks you, so how was it? You're like, it didn't really live up to the expectations. I thought it would be faster, or something like that. Okay. So the last expression I want to talk to you about, it can be used again in a formal setting. It can be used in a letter of complaint. So pay attention for those of you guys who are planning on taking the IELTS general exam. This is really good language if you're writing a letter to complain about something. Okay, so the expression is, what we had been led to expect was. What we had been led to expect was. Okay, so if somebody or there's something that has been promised to you, so with the hotel example, if when you're booking your hotel room, they tell you in every hotel room there's going to be a jacuzzi. You go into your hotel and there's no jacuzzi. So you want to write a letter. You say, what I had been led to expect was that every room has a jacuzzi. And this is, saying that I'm disappointed. There's no jacuzzi. You told me there's going to be, but there isn't, okay? Or maybe you want to, talk very formally about that movie you didn't like. What I had been expected, what I had been led to expect was that this movie was high production, had good production, okay? But it doesn't. So whenever somebody has promised you something, but it's different and it's not a good different, you can use this sentence, you can use this expression to talk about it. It is very formal. You can use it at a business setting or any formal expression. You can use it with your friends, but usually with friends we are more casual. Usually we go more towards the other expressions, like I was so looking forward to. We can use this one with our friends. I was so looking forward to the jacuzzi in the hotel, but it didn't have one. I was so looking forward to seeing those guys. If we're in a more formal setting, like at work or we're writing a letter, it did not live up to expectations, what we had been led to expect. This is a better language to use. What we had been led to expect is when there was a promise of something and it didn't deliver. Okay, so they promised you that you have, it's an all-inclusive resort, but when you go to the resort, they say, no, you have to pay for food. Okay, so you want to write a letter. You say, what we had been led to expect was that the resort is all-inclusive, but now you're asking for money. Okay. All right, guys, so I'm going to turn on comments. If you have any questions, please go ahead and ask them now. To those of you who have just joined in during that session, thank you for joining in. Good morning to you. We are continuing our A to Z of common English expressions. Today, we're going to finish the D topics. Hopefully, we're going to finish the D topics. We just talk about how to express our disappointment in something, or if somebody is disappointed, how to sympathize with them. So if you guys have any questions about that, go ahead and ask me. If there's any internet issues, also let me know. I hope that all internet issues are fixed, so everything seems to be going fine, unless you guys just can't tell me right now. Good morning to those of you guys who are just joining in. Thank you for being here this morning. Meaning of disappoint. Yeah, Negin, to be disappointed is to be let down, exactly like you said. So when you expect something good to happen and it doesn't, like something bad happens instead, or it just doesn't happen, the feeling you get, we call that disappointment. It can be something like you feel maybe a little depressing or a little bit sad. It's exactly when you say let down, you're exactly describing disappointment, okay? So it is the feeling you get when you expect something good to happen, but it doesn't happen. When you think something is going to be really good, but it's not, we say that you are disappointed. Also, if you have children, if they don't do something well, you might feel disappointed in them. You might say, I'm really disappointed in you. I thought you knew better. How do we spell what a bummer? Ahmed, I'm going to post my notes after the live, so you can check your spelling then. But for your information, bummer is spelled with two M's. So Bummer, okay? Bummer. I am going to post my notes, so don't worry, guys. You can definitely check all your, you can definitely write them down and check your spelling then. Happy to help, Megan. Thank you for being here every day. I really do appreciate it. So if there are no further questions, the next topic we're going to talk about is disapproving of an action. So an action, these are our verbs, right? When somebody does something or something happens, the action verbs. And somebody does something that we don't like, so we want to disapprove of it. We want to say, you shouldn't have done that, okay? So these next expressions are we're going to talk about how we can disapprove of an action. Hey, MJATP, thank you for joining in. It's really good to see you here. Good morning, man. All right, so I'm going to turn off comments, and if you guys have any questions, please keep them for afterwards and we can talk about it. So here we go. We're going to talk about disapproving of an action, the expressions we can use. Sometimes we hear about someone who did something, did an action, and we feel very negative about it. We feel like it's something they shouldn't have done. So these expressions we're going to use, we can use them to express our feelings. We can use them to express how we would react, okay? So the first one, when you want to talk about something that somebody else did and it made you upset, it made you, feel negative. This is a very strong expression you can use. So it is, I don't, this is not a very strong expression. I'm sorry. So the expression is, I don't think much of. I don't think much of. Okay? So this expression, I'm sorry if I'm confused you. It's not a very strong expression. It's kind of like a, I don't want to say I don't agree with what they did. I'm just saying I don't think much of what they did, okay? So, for example, if somebody, you hear about somebody who cut in the line, okay? So everybody is waiting in the line, in the queue at the bank, and somebody cuts in the line. They go in front of the first person. And you say, I don't think much of what that guy did. You say that to your friend, I don't think much of what that guy did. So after, this expression, you can use the noun of the person. So you can say, I don't think much of Tom. I don't think much of Tom. Or you can use a pronoun. You can say, I don't think much of what he did. Okay? I don't think much of what she did. So this is, like I said, not a very strong expression. It kind of shows that you think what they did is wrong, but you're not so upset about it that it's making you angry. Okay. If somebody else is more angry, like your friend is like, hey, did you see what that guy did? And you kind of want to weakly agree with them because, you're not as angry, but you just want to say, yeah, that's not a nice thing. You just say, oh, I don't think much of what he did. That was not a nice thing he did, okay? Now, if you are more upset, if you're the angry person, you say, how appalling, or how dreadful. How appalling, or how dreadful. This is for when somebody does something that's very upsetting to you. Maybe they're not just cutting in the line at the bank. Maybe they push somebody out of the way. There's an old lady standing there and somebody comes and pushes her out of the way and takes her place. You say, how appalling, or how dreadful. This is more of like a oh my God expression, okay? When something happens that's very upsetting to you. It's your expression where instead of saying, oh my God, you say, how appalling, how dreadful. The next expression is directly related to these words. I'm utterly appalled, or I'm utterly disgusted. So, how appalling or how dreadful are just what you say when the thing happens. The guy comes and pushes the old lady, and you're like, how appalling. Your friend is standing beside you, and you turn to them and you say, I'm utterly appalled by what that person did. I'm utterly disgusted by what that person did, okay? So your friend is like, hey, did you see what that guy did? You're like, yeah, I'm utterly disgusted. You can also put a person's name after this. So you can say, I'm utterly appalled by Tom. Maybe Tom does a lot of things that are upsetting to you. I'm utterly disgusted by Tom. Okay? So these are very strong reactions to an action. And usually we use these expressions right after something terrible happens, something that you think is really bad happens, okay? So, you see somebody push an old lady, or you were watching the news and they're talking about something terrible happening. Some guy beat up some other people, and you say, wow, I'm utterly disgusted by this news, or I'm utterly appalled by this news, okay? So it is stronger than saying I don't think much of. If you say I don't think much of, it just means, I don't agree with it, but it's not really upsetting to me. But if you say I'm utterly disgusted with something, it means it is very upsetting to you. You think what happened was really wrong. Okay? So if we want to just burst out, like something bad happens in front of us and we just say, oh my, how appalling. Okay? That is our reaction. If you want to talk about it to our friend or to somebody else, you say, I'm utterly disgusted with what this person did. I'm utterly disgusted, or I'm utterly appalled. Okay? The next expression, we can use it to talk more generally about some kind of action that we always think is wrong. Okay? So the one we just talked about, something happened in front of us and we're saying, wow, that is disgusting. This expression is for something we just think is wrong all the time. Okay? So I'm dead against people doing something. I'm dead against people doing something. Okay? So I can say, I'm dead against people stealing. Okay? I'm dead against people stealing. Or I'm dead against people who aren't on time. Okay? People who aren't punctual. So we use this expression when we are disapproving of something people do, but this is in general. It didn't just happen. We're saying this in general. So for example, if there is some kind of a debate, usually in politics, a lot of times they talk about what people should do and what people shouldn't do. So if there's some kind of a debate going out, you can use this kind of language. You can say, I'm dead against people who chew with their mouths open. You know, it's disgusting. Or I'm dead against people who don't take responsibility. Okay, something like this. Some action you disapprove of and you always think it's the wrong thing to do, you can use this sentence for it. This is neutral, you know, it's not informal or formal. You can use it in any setting. Maybe at work you have a business meeting and they're talking about how people should act at work. You say, I'm dead against people talking on their phones at work. Okay? So I'm dead against people talking on their mobile phones at work. So it just shows that you strongly disapprove of some action. Okay? And the next expression is used for when you want to say that there should be a law against whatever people are doing, okay? Whatever you think is bad. So you say, it shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be allowed, okay? So you're standing in the line at the bank. Somebody comes and pushes the old lady and takes their plate. You say, oh, how I'm utterly appalled. That shouldn't be allowed. Okay, there should be a law against it, you know. Or you see somebody in the street, you know, beating somebody else up, you know, oh, it shouldn't be allowed. That guy shouldn't be allowed to beat somebody up, okay? That shouldn't be allowed. It shouldn't be allowed. You can replace it with the action itself. For example, you can say stealing shouldn't be allowed. Stealing shouldn't be allowed. So people shouldn't be allowed to steal from each other. Lying shouldn't be allowed. So there should be a law against lying to each other. We can use this language when we're talking about like the rules of anywhere. So the rules of the city we live in, the rules of our workplace, maybe the rules in our house. Maybe with your family, you want to set some rules for what everybody should do. So you say, you know, being lazy isn't allowed in the family. Being lazy shouldn't be allowed. Okay, so we're setting a rule that nobody is allowed to be lazy. Usually when we use this expression in to talk about like rules of law, to talk about laws, and we use it to talk about something that is allowed right now, and we're saying it shouldn't be allowed. So we're saying it should be illegal. So maybe in a country where drugs are legal, you don't think drugs should be legal. You say, you know, drugs shouldn't be allowed. We should make them illegal. Okay. The next expression is a very strong negative reaction to something that you just heard about or you just saw. So you say, what a rotten thing to do. What a rotten thing to do. Or, what a mean thing to do. What a mean thing to do. Okay? So your friend comes in and they tell you, oh, I was just at the bank. Somebody came in and pushed the old lady out of the way. You say, oh my God, what a rotten thing to do. What a mean thing to do. When we use this expression, we're basically saying that, what the person did was wrong and it was bad. And we're showing sympathy with the victim of the action, okay? So in this case, the victim is the old lady because she got pushed out of the way. So what we're saying is that, what that person did was really wrong, and, the old lady is a victim. So for example, your friend comes in and they say, I parked my car outside and somebody broke the window. You say, what a rotten thing to do. That is really wrong. You're sympathizing with your friend. What a mean thing to do. Maybe your kids go to school and they come home crying. And you ask, hey, what's wrong? They say, one of the bigger kids, they took my lunch. And you say, what a mean thing to do. What a rotten thing to do. Okay? So we use this expression when we hear about something that happened that we don't think is okay. Okay? When we hear about something that is disturbing to us. Okay? What a rotten thing to do, or what a mean thing to do. The next expression is a more formal way of criticizing people who do things you don't approve of. Okay? So we can use this one with a verb or with a person's name. So it is, I take a very dim view of people doing. I take a very dim view of people, and then whatever. Okay? So for example, if we're writing a letter and we're writing a letter to let somebody know what they did was wrong, we say, I take a very dim view of people stealing public property. Okay, it's saying I'm disapproving of it. It is a very formal language, okay? So this is what we use in a formal setting, in a business setting, in a writing, when we're writing a letter. Or if we're writing a letter from our company, we say, we take a very dim view of people who are late to work. Okay, so maybe we're writing a letter to let somebody know being late is not good. We're disapproving of it. We take a very dim view of people who are late. Okay? You can use this expression with the gerund, with the ing form of a verb, like we did. So, I take a very dim view of people stealing. We're using a gerund. We're putting the verb that we're disapproving of. Or we can use it to talk about a person. I take a very dim view of people who are late. We are using a noun clause here describing the people that we are taking a dim view of. Okay? So we take a very dim view of people who break the law. If somebody breaks the law in this company, we don't like it. Okay? So this next expression, we use it when we see somebody doing something that we think they shouldn't do and we think they're stepping out of bounds. Okay, so we say, who do they think they are? Who do they think they are? When we say who do they think they are, we are suggesting that somebody is doing something that should be reserved for maybe somebody else. So for example, if somebody is stopping cars and they're checking if the people inside are doing something. This is something the police usually does, right? the police can usually stop cars and, check the people inside. But if there's somebody else doing it, they're not the police, it can be very dangerous. So you can say, who do they think they are? Do they think they are the police? What gives them the right to do this? Okay. Maybe if somebody questions you, if you're sitting down at a bank and somebody comes in and is like, hey, how much money do you have in your bank account? You're like, who do you think you are? Why are you asking me these questions? Who do you think you are? Or who do they think they are? When you see some people doing something that is just, something that they're not allowed to do, you can say this. So who do they think they are? What gives them the right to do this thing, okay? Whenever, if people are acting like they're in charge, but they're not really in charge, you can use this. If you're sitting in your company and your coworker says, hey, why don't you take tomorrow off? Who do you think you are? You're not my boss to tell me take tomorrow off, right? Who do you think you are? Or who do they think they are? Okay? And the next expression, we use it when we want to show we don't understand how people can do something. So we say, how can people do things like that? How can people do things like that? We use this expression when we're showing disbelief in something that happened. We're like, oh my God, this is so crazy. I don't understand how people can do these things, okay? So, you're standing in a bank, somebody pushes the old lady out of the way, and you say, how can people do things like that? How can they be so cruel? How can they be so thoughtless? How can people do things like that? You see, somebody steals your car and you just can't believe it. You're like, how can people do things like that? So whenever you can't believe people doing some actions that you don't approve of, you can use this. So maybe you're watching a movie and there's somebody constantly talking at the movie theater on their phone. You turn to your friend and you're like, how can people do things like that? How can they be so inconsiderate? Okay? Talking on the phone is not a nice thing to do at a movie theater. And the next one, the last expression we want to talk about, we use it when we're just shocked about, what's happening. We say, whatever next, or what next? This expression means what's going to happen next, okay? So whenever, there is some string of bad events happening, you say, what next? We had inflation, we had the coronavirus, what next? What's going to happen next? Whatever next, okay? So you can use this expression when there's some bad things that happened after each other, and you're just like, what's going to happen next? It's more of an expression of, I don't know what's going to happen next. This is just, things can't get worse sort of thing, okay? So, you walk into your, you go on vacation. When you come back home, you see that your window is broken, and then you open the door and you see somebody stole your things. You're like, my window's broken, my things are stolen. What next? Whatever next, okay? What next? What's the next bad thing that's going to happen? You're basically saying, like, these things that happen, you're disapproving of them, okay? All right, guys, so I'm going to turn on comments. Please go ahead and ask me any questions you might have. For those of you guys who are just joining in, good morning to you. I hope you guys are having a great morning. I hope you guys enjoyed this session. Like we talked about it before, I'm trying to give you guys more examples. Hopefully you guys can understand how to use these expressions better. Hi, Mariam, good to see you. Let me know, give me some feedback about what you guys would like me to do in these sessions. If you feel like, I can do something better, let me know. Hi, Nas58. Good morning to you. Thank you for joining in. Let me know, if you guys want me to do anything differently. I appreciate all your feedback. Hi, Media NN. Thank you for joining in. Hey, Sudabe. Good to see you again. Thank you for coming here this morning. So we're pretty much done for today. If you guys are just joining in, I am going to post this video on my Instagram. It will be there for 24 hours. And in the all my previous sessions are going to be on YouTube. So if you missed them, go ahead and check them out. Thank you very much, media. I try to speak slowly so you guys can catch all the words. And thank you, Eloy, for your kind words. Hey, Fariba, and thank you for joining me this morning. So today we talked about disapproving of an action and how to express our disappointment. Go ahead and check out my notes. I will post them in an hour, about an hour. We'll see. So, go ahead and check them out when I post them in my story. Let me know if you guys have any feedback for me. I always appreciate your feedback. You guys are awesome. YouTube, yeah, I know you have to use a VPN for YouTube. The problem is when I try to post the videos on IGTV, I keep on getting an error. I've tried several times. What happens is the upload process, it gets interrupted, and then afterwards it doesn't get started again. So right now YouTube is the best option I have. I'm sorry if you don't have VPN. I don't know how I can make these videos available to you somewhere else, but we'll see how it goes. maybe when the internet bandwidth is a little bit better, I can post them on Instagram there, okay? Post birthday in Instagram. I'm sorry, but do you mean my birthday? Would you mention if some parts of these expressions are useful for speaking skill? Yes, absolutely, Sudabe. These expressions, if you can use them well in your speaking exam, they're going to impress the examiner, okay? Now, be careful when you want to use these expressions in your speaking exam. If you're talking in a casual tone and you use a formal expression, it's not going to sound right. But if you're talking in a casual tone and you use a casual expression, then it's going to be okay. And vice versa. If you're talking formal tone and you use a casual expression, it's not good. You have to use formal expressions. So on your IELTS speaking exam, depending on what the topic is, depending on what you're talking about, you can definitely use these expressions. I will try to point that out in the future, Sudabe. I will try to point out which one of these might be very useful. In general, all of these expressions are very useful to use properly. The thing about the IELTS exam and how you can impress the examiner is you can show them that you know how to use your language knowledge. And if you can demonstrate that, if you can show them, I'm talking formally and I'm using formal expressions. I'm talking casually, I'm using informal expressions, and I'm using them properly. If you can demonstrate that, then your examiner is going to be impressed. Obviously, using a wider range of vocabulary is good. Using complex sentences is good. But all of these things, you can integrate them together. So you can integrate these expressions into your sentences, and it depends on your topics. Thank you very much, Ella. I really appreciate your feedback. What we had been led to expect was... okay, so when somebody tells us something is going to happen, like for example, we are going to buy a car, and they tell us that the car has a monitor in it. When they give us the car, there's no monitor inside, and you want to complain about this. So you call them up or you write them a letter and you say, what I had been led to expect was that the car comes with a monitor. It has a monitor inside. But this car doesn't, so I'm very disappointed. Okay? I want to say post your lessons in Instagram. Fariba, I do that. If you mean my notes, I do post them on as highlights. If you mean the videos, I'm going to try again. Instagram doesn't allow big or long videos, so I have to post them on IGTV. And right now, when I try to post them on IGTV, it doesn't complete the upload. And when I called them to ask about it, they said because there's a lot of people at home right now, their servers can't handle it. Hi, Donya. Good morning. Good to see you. You joined in a little late today, Donya, but I'm going to post the session up so you can go ahead and watch it. Thank you for coming in anyway. It's good to see you. Good morning to you. Okay, guys, so that is the end of our session for today. Go ahead and check out the other instructors. They all do live sessions at different times of the day. I have this schedule on my highlight. I believe the next person is going to be MG, Mr. Qolizadeh, and he has really good live sessions. I really enjoy them myself. So please go ahead and check him out. I believe he goes on at 1 p.m. So go ahead and check all those guys out. They're really good instructors. They have a lot of good knowledge and they can help you improve your English. Thank you guys for spending your morning with me. I hope to see you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. again. Take care of yourselves and have a great day, guys. I'll see you all later.